Hello everyone, DM Gashbad here. After a nice long break where I focused on our annual Halloween display, we are back with another game of Zombicide Black Plague. As you can see, I've finally gone and painted up the last of the initial core box survivors. Yeah, I'm using Warhammer Fantasy model proxies. I don't want to get into it, it's a whole thing. My initial plan was to introduce Clovis, our last member of the group, to the rest of the party using the scenario Silas's Gathering. This is where Silas, Clovis, and Samson face off against an Abominator. But in between when I got Clovis painted and when I played the game, they released a new quest online called Desecrated Church, and this is a 2-survivor game featuring Clovis and Ann. And I know Ann just died in the last game, and so by the rules of my little made-up narrative campaign, I don't get to use her anymore. But if you don't use Ann, then you don't get to use this campaign at all. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to go back in time. We're going to do sort of a prequel to Ann's Revenge, and we're going to show what happened right before that game took place, where she and Clovis fought against a horde of undead coming out of a desecrated church. So if we win, great. Ann is going to go ahead and die in the next game, Ann's Revenge. Clovis will meet the group in another manner. If Clovis dies in this game, then I guess he won't, and if Ann dies in this game, then I guess we've created a paradox that'll unravel the fabric of the universe. So hopefully that won't happen. So just to remind everybody, Ann starts with the Bloodlust melee skill, meaning she can move up to 2 zones and then attack with a melee weapon for a single action. I get to split the starting equipment between them, so Ann is bringing along a hammer, the Mana Blast spell, and a short sword. Clovis starts with the +1 die melee skill, meaning every time he makes a weapon attack, he adds 1 die to the attack. And I'm starting him out with 2 short swords and a short bow. In addition, as per the rules for the scenario, each of them gets a torch. Here's the board all set up and ready to play. We've got kind of a plus-shaped map formation. My guys are starting at the bottom inside a little room with an open door. There is a single spawn point that's active at the beginning of the game at the very bottom. And the game starts with 2 runners in that zone. There are 2 doors directly above us. One is a green door, one is a blue door. The blue door can't be opened at all, and the green door can be opened like a normal door for now. Plus, every door is opened automatically. We don't need to roll for it. Once we open the green door, the green spawn zone at the top becomes active. There are 3 objectives in the middle section, 2 red and 1 hidden green one. The red ones give 5 XP to the character who takes it, and the green one gives 5 XP to both characters. You also hold on to each of those objectives, like equipment. If a character with the green objective is standing in the zone with the green door, they can spend an action to discard it and close that green door. If Ann is holding on to both red objectives and she is standing in the zone with the green spawn zone, that's the one at the very top, she can spend an action to put both of them down at the altar, sanctify the whole place, and get rid of that green spawn zone. Then all we have to do is kill the rest of the zombies inside that main building, and we're done, we win. What can go wrong? Well, actually quite a bit. So, full disclosure, this is my second time playing this through. The first time I decided didn't count. It was a big loss for me, but in my defense, I made a big rules mistake in the middle of the game. I got a crossbow very early on, and I shot into a zone with one of my people, forgetting that if I missed, then I hit my own people. And of course, the crossbow causes 2 wounds a shot. I caught my mistake later on, but by then the damage had been done. So while I didn't technically make a rule mistake, me forgetting that rule really altered the way the game went, so I decided it didn't count. If I had remembered that misses hit my own guy, then I would have never done that, and things would have turned out differently. So we're redoing it. But suffice to say, I know you can lose this quest because I've done it before, and it is listed as hard difficulty. So I think that's about it for the preamble. We might as well start. We're both starting inside a room and we both have torches, so I think I'm going to start by searching. Ann's going to go first. She gets to draw 2 cards because she's got the torch. She finds a suited chainmail, which is nice, and an axe, which is not. Then I'm just going to burn the rest of her actions. We're going to go over to Clovis. He finds a repeating crossbow and some apples, and that's it for him. In the zombie phase, the runners split off to try and surround us, and we draw 1 spawn card down at the south, and we get 1 more runner. Back to the heroes. Ann's going to search again. She's going to find a longbow and a shield. Doing pretty well for ranged weapons and armor, but not much else. She's going to go and give the shield to Clovis because he can hold that in his armor spot. Clovis then goes and searches and finds dragon bile and some water. The dragon bile is kind of a big deal. Last game I got an early abomination spawn and it was a big problem. I end up dropping the short bow and we go on to zombie turn, runners run, and then we spawn 1 more fatty. Round 3 and the runners are at the door, so we're about done with my whole looting expedition. Going to start off with Ann again. She's going to do 1 more search. She's going to find apples and a dagger. Dagger's always great on Ann. She's going to use the apples, get herself 1 XP. As part of the search action, she's going to put the dagger in her armor slot, and we're going to stow the chainmail for now. We also put the longbow in hand. She's going to shoot at the runners. She's going to kill one and then miss the other. Over to Clovis, he's going to make a search action. He's going to find another shield and a hand crossbow. To clear out some space in his equipment, he's going to use the apples and the water, get himself 2 XP. He equips the hand crossbow, kills off the runner for another XP. Then he's going to initiate a trade with Ann. He's going to give her the short sword, and he's going to take the hammer. Zombie turn, the runner moves up to us, the fatty moves up to us. Hey, if you've noticed that these guys aren't splitting, that's for a very specific reason. There's a special rule in the quest that says zombies don't go into mitosis in this game. The players just choose which way the odd zombie goes. So the single runner ends up in front of our little hidey hole. I move the fatty off to the right, and we spawn a necromancer, which isn't great. He comes along with another fatty for a friend. So time to get moving. Ann's going to bloodlust to the runner right outside our room. She's wielding dual short swords right now, so she easily kills him. Moves 1 more space in front of the green door, opens that up, and we got to spawn a bunch of rooms. As always, I'm going to spawn the furthest rooms to the nearest. So way in the back, we get 1 fatty, then we draw a necromancer card. Yeah, I know the rulebook seems to say that when you draw a necromancer and a necromancer is already on the board, he keeps that card and gets another action every time he activates. That's confusing and weird. I'm just going to give the necromancer another activation immediately. Next room gives us a double spawn, so go on to the room in front of where Ann just opened the door. We get 1 runner, and then we get another double spawn, so back to the original room, we get 1 more walker and 1 fatty. So I don't love that runner right in front of me, but all in all, it could be worse. So that's Ann done. Over to Clovis. Clovis is going to spend 2 of his 3 actions to move in front of that door, end up in the same zone with Ann, and then he's going to use that hand crossbow and kill off that runner. Good. Zombie turn, and all the Walking Dead shuffles towards us. Starting with the red spawn zone in the south, we get nothing. I feel like it's been a while since we got a spawn card that's resulted in nothing. Draw for the necromancer spawn in that same zone, and we get nothing in sight again. Pretty good so far. Back over to the top, and we get a double spawn, so back down to the south, we get 1 walker and 2 walkers. I'll take it. Back to the hero turn, I'm going to start with Clovis. He gets to reload his crossbow at the end of the turn, so he goes and fires at that necromancer creeping up behind me and kills him off. I'm getting kind of close to the yellow experience level, and I'd really like to open up some of these doors before I do that. So I'm going to jump into the church, open up that door on the left. Again, spawning from the furthest away room to the closest, we start with a double spawn, which isn't what I want. So now at the closest room, we get 2 spawns. 1 turns out to be a necromancer, so the necromancer comes right back on the board. Brings along a necromancer spawn zone with him, which produces a runner. And then for the second card for the double spawn, we get 2 walkers. That's not exactly what I wanted to see. So as it stands now, Clovis is going to take a wound from that runner moving into his zone. I do have Ann left to go. I think I'm just going to send her in there and try and chew up as many guys as she can. If things go wrong, then Ann is going to get torn to shreds, and that's a problem. But I think right now she's equipped with a short sword and a dagger, so she should be okay. So she uses Bloodlust, moves 2 squares into that zone, throws her 2 dice, and gets off to a great start, kills off 2 walkers. I forget for the time being that in melee I can choose who I kill, but I've got 2 more actions, which is not bad. Next action manages to kill off the runner, and the final one kills off the necromancer, so it doesn't matter. Ann has done great work, pulled me out of a tough situation. It also puts her in the yellow experience level. So she has a whole nother action on top of that. She's going to use it to move 1 zone up to the room with the objective. Over to the zombies, and they keep creeping up on me. We're now in the yellow danger zone, so in the south we get 1 runner, and in the north the same. So back to the heroes, we're going to start with Ann. Ann's going to start off, she's going to take the objective, and we draw the green objective, which is fantastic. Both characters get 5 XP, which puts Clovis in the yellow. And Ann has 3 actions left, which is just enough to move twice into the zone with the green door and use her last action to use that green objective and seal the door. I don't have to worry about anything coming from the south from now on, which is great because I kind of messed up on the last movement phase and split the group of walkers when I shouldn't have. But they're never going to get to me, so it doesn't matter. Now, they will just keep piling up and piling up outside the door, which makes the risk of running out of models and the people inside the church getting extra activations, but that's a problem for later down the road. Over to Clovis, and he has the hammer, so he is on fatty duty. He moves 1 zone forward into that zone with the 2 fatties and the walker. Second action kills off one of each, again forgetting that I can choose who I kill, but his third action kills off the last fatty, so he's in great shape. And then I'm going to play it safe. I'm going to move back one zone to hang out with Ann, keep all our wounds together. We're in yellow now. I don't want to risk that runner in the north getting an extra activation. Zombie turn. All the zombies outside the church just shuffle futilely forward. The runner moves up, and then we go on to the spawn phase. In the south, we get one fatty, and in the north, another necromancer shows up. These churches, man. And he shows up with two fatties as well. Now I'm a little worried about running out of those fatty models. Back to the heroes, we're going to start with Ann. Ann bloodlusts into the runner and kills him off. I'd like to do something about that necromancer, but I feel like, again, I kind of have to open these doors while I'm still in the yellow danger level. So open the door immediately to the right, and we start from the furthest room off to the bottom right, and we get an abomination. I was wondering when one of those guys is going to show up. The room in the upper right gives us 4 walkers, then the room in the middle right gives us 2 fatties. The room right in front of us gives us 2 more fatties. Yeah, I'm running a little low on my fatty models. Ann does not have a 2 damage weapon, so she's going to back slowly away from that whole mess, and we're going to activate a trade with Clovis. He's got to get in there and start swinging that hammer of his, but I'm going to give him a little protection. Ann's going to give him the chainmail, that with the shield and the hammer. Hopefully, if things go really wrong, that'll protect him. So on Clovis' turn, he moves up 2 zones and starts bonking fatties. His first attack kills off one of them, second attack kills off the second, and then he just gets ready to face the horde. Zombie turn, and 4 walkers and 2 fatties move into Clovis' zone. Everyone else just shuffles forward, including the guys outside the church doors. Then we're on to the spawn phase. Down in the south, we get 2 walkers. Then to the north, we get 1 runner. And then in the necromancer spawn zone, we get a double spawn. So back down to the south, we get 1 more fatty and an extra activation walkers. That's not great. The walkers all surge forward, but the worst news is that the 4 walkers inside the zone with Clovis all get to attack him. Alright, this is what we equipped to with the chainmail and shield for. He's got 4 saves of 4+ to make, and if I don't like him, I can re-roll all the dice. So I can't just re-roll the ones I failed, I gotta re-roll all the dice. Thankfully, the first roll out, Clovis manages to pass 3 of the 4 saves. I'm fine with that, don't want to re-roll that. Clovis takes a wound, and I count my blessings. So back to the heroes, and I gotta do something about all these zombies that have pinned me down. Ann's going to bloodlust into that zone and try and clear out those walkers. She does pretty well. She kills off 2 of them with the bloodlust action, then kills off 1 more walker with her second action, and the last walker with her third. There's an abomination bearing down on us, and Ann gets a little bit nervous and so initiates a trade with Clovis. She's going to take that chainmail, not that it's going to do any good against the A-bomb, but it does allow her to give the dagger to Clovis, which will hopefully help him clear out those fatties a little bit easier. Over to Clovis. Now with that dagger, he's rolling 3 dice with the hammer. Still only kills 1 with his first action, kills the second with his second action. Then we've got to do something about this abomination. He's going to initiate a trade with Ann, which allows him to put the dragon bile and torch in hand. He's also going to give her the shield, and he's going to move 1 zone over to the top right. Zombie turn, bad guys keep moving. A-bomb moves into Ann's location. She's got a runner, 2 fatties, and a necromancer right on the other side of that door, in case she was feeling a little lonely. For spawns, we get 1 runner in the south, and then 2 sets of a single fatty in the north. I don't know, I think this church may need to take it a little easy on the fried foods in their potlucks. So again, nothing too terrible happened in that last spawn phase. So I'm going to start with Ann. Ann is going to move into the zone with Clovis. It takes her 2 actions because she has to run away from the abomination. She's also going to open that door on the right. I'm doing that for a couple of things. Number 1, I want to do it while I'm still in the yellow danger level. Number 2, I really don't want to kill off the abomination and then open up those last 2 doors and find another abomination. That would cause me a lot of problems. So I'm going to get that door open, see what's in those 2 rooms, and then we'll deal with the guy. So the far room gives us 4 walkers, which is fine, and the near room gives us a necromancer. So the necromancer gets another activation and goes and tries to get to the other spawn zone, which is in the south, which he can't get to because the green door is sealed. So he's just going to bump up against that thing, yelling, let me out, let me out, while the zombies on the other side are saying, let us in, let us in. For Ann's final action, she's going to give Clovis his shield back. So over to Clovis. First action, he goes and tosses the dragon bile at the feet of the abomination. Second action, he loses his torch, throws that at the feet, and completely immolates the abomination, getting himself 5 XP. That puts Clovis in the orange. I choose to give him the free melee action skill. Doesn't make me confident enough to go surging towards those 4 walkers in the other room though, so I'm going to hang out right there in the room with Ann. I'm going to equip the hammer and the dagger, put those in hand, and sure, I'm going to take a chance. I'm going to search the room. Probably not the best idea, really wouldn't want to see an awe card pop up, but I don't get it, I get the repulse spell. Zombie turn and the necromancer and all the zombies outside continue to bang on that door. Everyone else just closes in on my hero's position. In the spawn phase, this spawn zone in the south gives us an abomination, which is great. It means I'm not going to get an abomination in the north. I don't have to deal with another one of those in the church. The first spawn zone in the north gives us a double spawn. Fine. Straight on to the necromancer spawn zone in that same zone gives us 5 walkers and 2 runners. We're in orange now, kind of a lot. Back to the heroes, we're going to start with Ann. First of all, we've got a runner in our zone, which she quickly dispatches. She then bloodlusts over to the right into that room with the 4 walkers. Completely misses with her first attack, which doesn't help. For Ann's third action, she attacks and she manages to kill 1 walker. Not amazing, but it is enough to put her into orange. Again, I'm going to give her the free melee skill. With that free melee action, she kills off 1 more walker and then uses her final action to kill off another, leaving 1 remaining. So I hate to do it, but I think I'm gonna have to leave Ann with that walker for the time being. I want to send Clovis to go get that objective that we had to skate by in order to deal with the abomination. I'm just worried that if I go back the other way, it's going to be real hard for me to thin out all the zombies that are going to be sitting on top of that objective. So for his first action, he moves off to the left to that room with the 2 fatties and the objective. He then uses his free melee action to kill off both of them, which is nice. Second action, he takes the red objective, gets himself 5 XP. Then he moves twice to rejoin Ann. Zombie turn, and that walker in Ann and Clovis' zone punches Ann. She fails her armor roll, which is too bad, and so she takes a wound. At least it makes us even. The rest of the creeps continue to creep. In the south, we spawn 2 runners. In the north, we get a double spawn, so second spawn zone in that same zone, we get a necromancer, so he just continues to bash his head against the door, which is absolutely fine with me. And we get a runner activation. So those 2 runners in the church end up right outside Clovis and Ann's room. So both my guys are wounded. There's a bunch of bad guys in the church, but at least we're about to get rid of the attacks coming from one side. Clovis is going to start off. He's going to kill the walker in our zone. He's going to move down 1 zone, take that last red objective. Moves back up to Ann, going to hand her both red objectives because she's going to need those. And also gives her the dagger. Ann's turn, and she bloodlusts into the zone with the 2 runners and kills them off. I'd really like to open that door, go into the room in the north, and then place those 2 red objectives to seal that green spawn zone, but I wouldn't have another action to move out of that zone, and there's still that necromancer spawn zone there. Really would hate to get stuck with something nasty, like drawing a double spawn in that spawn zone on the south and getting some zombies and extra activation. I just don't like it. I don't like hanging out on spawn zones. So I'm going to move back to the zone with Clovis. So back over to the zombies. Zombies go ahead and keep moving towards us. In the south, we get 2 more fatties. In the north, we get an extra walker activation. Now, I'm really glad I didn't move into that spawn zone, because if Ann had gone in there, all the zombies in the room next to that big room in the north would have moved into Ann's zone, and then they would have gotten an extra action. That probably would have been the end of Ann. So, good choice. We also get 1 more runner there. Okay, back to my heroes. We're going to start with Clovis. He's going to move twice, end up in the middle. Free melee action, kills off 2 fatties. He's got 2 more actions, uses the hand crossbow because it hits on a 3+ as opposed to a 4+, kills off 2 more walkers. Final action, kills off 2 more walkers. That leaves us with a single walker in that zone. Ann's going to go ahead and give you a hand with that. She's going to bloodlust into that zone and kill that off for you, Clovis. And hey, that actually puts her in a position to bloodlust again, and this time kill off the necromancer, getting rid of that necromancer spawn zone in the north that's been bugging me for the last couple of turns. That has cleared out a lot of dead things, so she casually uses her last 2 actions to walk back to Clovis' zone. Zombie turn, and it's just the single runner in the church that moves towards us. In the spawn phase, we only have 2 spawn zones now, which is a nice change. In the south, we get an extra fatty activation, which doesn't do much of anything. And in the north, we get a double spawn. So we go back down to the south, give ourselves 2 more fatties, and then 3 more fatties, for a grand total of kind of a lot of fatties. But they're all outside the church, so that is fine. Back to the heroes, and I think we're in a pretty good spot. Clovis is going to go ahead and open up with the hand crossbow and kill off that runner in front of us. He's then going to move back 1 zone, open up that last door leading to the north, and he's just going to walk in. That leaves Ann with a clear path to move twice into that room on the north, then spend 1 of her actions to drop both objectives onto the altar, thereby sanctifying this church and giving us the win. There you go, a nice satisfying conclusion to this game. It also means that Clovis can go on to join the rest of the Plogsburg petitioners, and Anne will eventually go off and die in the scenario Anne's Revenge. Which is too bad, because actually that character is a lot of fun to use. That bloodlust skill is cool. It also would have been nice for me to play through some of the missions from the book with the original 6 characters. Maybe one day. But for right now, thanks for watching. Leave a comment below if you have any questions, observations, or concerns. I'll see you on the next one.